Podcast. 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 Yeah, welcome to another episode of the Racer X Exhaust Podcast, brought to you by Yoshimura. Just unleashed at the EICMA, the huge motorcycle show in Europe. The all-new RS12 Signature Series exhaust system, the RS4, has been the Yoshimura exhaust system of choice for a long, long time. This is an all-new design, the RS12. It is rolling out first for the Suzuki RMZ 450. This exhaust system developed in conjunction with the JGR team the last few years, and even going back to the RCH team. There have been bits and pieces of this exhaust at racetracks near you for a long time, and now it is available in production form. This is an all-new exhaust system, totally different shape. It looks awesome, and the fit, I'm really impressed. They got this machine joint. It's got a much tighter tolerance where the header pipe and the muffler go together, and it's available, I believe, by the end of the month, so you can go to Yoshimura, the exhaust site, Yoshimura's exhaust site, yoshimura-rd.com, or go to your dealership that stocks Yoshimura, order it, and you'll get it by the end of the month. 7.1% gain in max torque on the Suzuki with this exhaust system, and it looks awesome too. And although I'm not supposed to say it, you'll probably see some RS12 exhaust systems for other bikes coming eventually. They start with Suzuki because they work hand-in-hand with the factory squads over there, and they're going to use this technology for a lot of other bikes in the future. So big things happening. Yoshimura is stepping up. A, sponsoring this podcast. B, with an all-new exhaust system. I mean, can you argue that kind of forward thinking? Go to yoshimura-rd.com. Also, this brought to you by Air Medcare Network. What if you're hospitalized with an injury far from home? You want to recover close to family and friends, and with an Air Medcare Network Fly You Home membership, you'll have control of where you're treated. You'll be transported to your local hospital of choice with no out-of-pocket cost, and save $10 with the offer code 10MOTO. That's 10MOTO. Visit airmedcarenetwork.com/RacerXoffer1. It's not on my script here, but I'm telling you, it is shocking how cheap the monthly fee is to sign up for the Air Medcare Network Fly You Home membership. I'm thinking it would be like thousands of dollars or $10,000s to be able to get a flight. Let's say you're at a race in Texas and you live in Florida. You would think it'd be tens of thousands of dollars to do this, but it's actually not. So go to the site. Might be a good thing if you know you race and travel a lot. Sport can be dangerous. And a note from us, RacerX itself. Subscribe to the magazine now, and you will get our free 2020 calendar and then a bonus extra calendar to send to someone else. The 2020 calendar is the whole shot edition. We've got epic whole shot photos. I love putting the calendar together every year. A couple of years ago, we had the decades calendar where we would show like a podium from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today, or a boot from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. That was my idea, the decades one. The whole shot one looks good, and it'll come to you for free if you subscribe, and you'll get a second one to send to someone else. So go to racerxonline.com/subscribe, and the calendars are coming to your mailbox if you sign up. Now on to part 2 of our interview with Lucas Mirtl. We launched part 1 last Friday. Lucas Mirtl, the super agent, ever-growing client roster. He's a no-nonsense guy, no filter, says it like he thinks it, and is also someone that thinks outside the box. So we're going to get into part 2 right here, starting with Joey Savatgy. Now, Savatgy moved over for Eli Tomac to help Tomac get the $1 million at the Monster Energy Cup last year. Mirtl wasn't Savatgy's agent at the time. Then Savatgy switched to Mirtl partway through this year, but he was still trying to maybe get some money from the Tomacs, as we found out when Savatgy went on a different podcast. My buddy Michael Antonovich did a podcast where Savatgy said, nope, never got any money from Tomac. So I'll start this part 2 asking Mirtl, is that true? Is that actually how it all went down? Let's start part 2 there. Okay, so yes, now what I'm letting the fans know is if a rider is your client, they're probably going to get brutal honesty from their rider. So let's go back to Savatgy. He was brutally honest. I wish I had done this interview. Damn it, I did a podcast with him in May. It was good. People liked it. But I didn't ask about the Monster Energy Cup deal last year because I thought, dude, that's 6 months ago. It's water under the bridge. Everything's probably been taken care of. There's no story there. Apparently there was. He said the Tomacs never paid him. So that's your brutal honesty for you there. I guess you just told him, no, don't duck it. Talk about it.
None of my clients have ever lied. I would never accept them not to tell the truth. So, I told you, this is the very thing, that podcast and whatnot,
Yep.
There was backlash and whatnot. But
there actually was. I was shocked. I was shocked that he even got backlash. I don't even know.
Look, I love how everyone loves Jason Lawrence right now, right? Everyone looks back at the Lawrence years as, that was he was the greatest, right? But remember at the time, people didn't think so.
No.
People were bummed on that guy because what he did to Dungey and the way he even hit Villapoto and got there. People were not pumped on him, but now their memories is like, we want another Jason Lawrence back, right?
Oh my gosh, you nailed it. Yes, it's a great point.
So, and people have short memories, and I just don't think society or people as general like to be confronted or put in a state of vulnerability where they don't know which way to think, right? Conor McGregor. When Conor McGregor came to the UFC, people hated him. Who is this asshole? Who is this jerk? And then he slowly won him over, because people are like, it became normal for him. It became accepted, and it became that was his MO, right, moving forward. So I think it confronts people, and especially in our industry. I love Formula One. Like, those guys will call it out on the podium. Like, you remember the Red Bull changing from Renault Motors to Honda, I think it was, right?
Yes, and then the drivers switching teams.
They stuck the three of them all sitting next to him in a press conference.
Incredible. Yes.
Right? So what do you it put it out there. That's what they do such a great job of. And a Formula One fan thrives on it, loves it. Where we as an industry, motocross and supercross, we're still very sheltered and nervous, right? Can't upset the manufacturers, or we can't really tell the truth, or I may be riding for them in 3 years. No, tell the truth. If Honda thinks you're the best rider for them in 3 years' time, that will win them races, no matter what you said in 2019, it won't matter. Won't matter to me.
And there is proof of that. Like the riders. Hey, I remember Kevin Windham was at Factory Honda, and I'm sure they paid him a lot of money from 1999 and 2000, and he didn't ride well, and he left. And then 5 years later, he rode Honda, and then he rode Honda for the next 10 years. So there's proof. Hey, you mentioned that they don't want to say stuff to get teams and sponsors mad, but here's one of the biggest misconceptions I've always heard. And I said this at the beginning of this podcast. Fans are like, well, the riders can't say because the teams and sponsors won't let them. I have found very little proof that the teams and sponsors put a noose around these guys' neck and say, don't say this, don't say that. I don't think that actually is the case. I have almost no proof of it. Does it ever act, okay, you can't drop F-bombs on the podium, they're not pumped on that. But for the most part, I think they're like, yeah, just win races for us, say whatever you want.
Ultimately, there's some teams that have a pit board with all their sponsors written down, which...
Yes.
Is what it is.
Yes. There are some teams that say you have to mention the sponsors. That's not great, but I get it. But how many teams are saying, be a robot, we want you to be a robot? I don't think anybody is. No,
no one really.
No.
Look, to answer your question, have I got an email on Monday, asking why was he so out there?
Okay.
Why was that so out there, or, whatnot? But no. To answer the question, no, you're right. There isn't that. It's more the athlete, just being, from a young age, kind of pounded into them, do this, do that,
Yeah.
We're going to break that mold.
Well, it really gets bad in the 450 class because that word backlash that we keep using. We're wondering, say, Aaron Plessinger, who is as free a spirit as free spirits get. And we're like, can he maintain that in the big class? Now, he got a free pass last year because he barely raced. He wasn't on the podium. He wasn't doing much interviews or press conferences or whatever. But if Plessinger becomes a guy who's running up front every weekend, you get, as you know, the microscope is way, way more focused on 450 than 250. Can he remain that guy? So you're confident that these guys can stay themselves even at the Eli Tomac level. They can do it. They can be both. It can be done.
There's zero reason why they can't.
Really?
Zero reason.
None of them do it. They all lose their personality. The amount of times I've heard, Kevin Kelly, my buddy at DMXS, like, wait till this kid turns pro, he's going to be awesome. And then 5 years later, it's all gone. He's turned into a robot too.
Yeah, I can't talk for Plessinger or them or anyone else.
Yeah.
I'll give my guys, hey, the email doesn't come from the team. The email will come from me, or the text message, or me at the podium will tell my guys if they do that. That was so boring and lame. I'm so disappointed. Great win. You bored everyone to death afterwards. Great. Sweet. I want guys to show emotion. This is an emotional sport. Show it.
It is, man. But look, I even look at it like this. Like Cooper Webb was, again, people didn't necessarily like it in the 250s, which is a great point, right? Like, he was getting a little cocky in the 250s. He brought a little edge to him. Some people liked it. Some people didn't. He was not that same guy this year. Okay, he did a finger gun salute at Roxon, but, dude, it's not even close to what he was doing 4 years ago. The 450 class is tough. It's tough to maintain that. Now, maybe Cooper will get it all back, and he'll be able to win and be the old Cooper Webb, but I don't know, man. I wish you luck. I wish Plessinger luck. I wish all these guys luck. Please do it.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, Cooper has a lot of pressure under him, and at times you get the job done. But I think Cooper will come out of his shell a little more, and I think he has.
Yeah.
I think he has. I think he's a super fun guy. Like, he's awesome.
He is. Yeah, he is. And people need to see it. I feel bad, actually. I had some fans this year saying, like, oh, he's a dick, right? And I'm like, Cooper Webb? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, as you know, I'm like, do you know that Cooper has, like, his same core group of, like, super buds from North Carolina, like, whether he was doing bad in 2017 and 18 or being Supercross champ now? Like, he's just got his buddies. Like, he hasn't changed one bit.
No, yeah, he really does. Like, I've hung out with Cooper a lot over the last 18 months. And, yeah. That crew between Phil and all the boys there, Seth and everything, dude, they're having fun. They're enjoying it, and they all have each other's back. That's it. That needs to come out.
That needs to come out. Yeah, and that Team Fried got that out, and I've told people over and over, I'm like, what you're seeing from Team Fried, the only difference is now you're actually seeing it. That's how a lot of these dudes have always been, Jason Anderson and many others, forever. You just never saw it before because for some reason, they just lock up. So there you go. Yeah. Maybe we're turning the corner. Maybe it's all happening.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I don't think all the athletes don't think it's all me. They're going to want to have to do it, and I believe they all will.
Okay, that's fair. How did you? Okay, I'm going to go way back here. How the hell are you even in this position? What did you even do? I knew you more of like you. I guess freestyle kind of started it, but how did you become an agent? How does this happen?
You fall into it. No, I'm just a scrappy kid from Kalgoorlie, Western Australia, gold mining town.
Okay.
I have I finished high school diploma. Motorcycle mechanic was my thing. I worked as a motorcycle mechanic. I raced in Australia. I was okay, but realized early on that this isn't going to really work for me.
Right, but you're a moto guy through and through.
Moto guy through and through. I lived and breathed it. I loved it. But yeah. I'm just a scrappy hustler kid from Kalgoorlie, and that's all. I put myself in great situations. I was a mechanic. I wanted to be the best mechanic I could be. I traveled the world with the Krusty Demons tour. We traveled the world in the early 2000s.
How old were you at this point?
I was like 23, 22. Right, traveling the world.
You want to do a whole separate podcast with just stories of that?
Thank God there was no iPhones or picture phones back then.
Dude.
So we got away with murder. No,
I bet you did. Yeah.
And it was a great time. It built me who I am today. We traveled. Those guys, to give props. They were actually rock stars back then, earning big money. Traveling the world and living like rock stars. It was like traveling with the Rolling Stones or the Beatles or Metallica. It was incredible. We sold out. They were selling out Wembley Arena in London to every big stadium across Europe and in Australia and whatnot. It was a super healthy industry. So how I got started, eventually, after that tour, my guys who I worked with said, "Hey, we just want you to come over and work on our bikes for Dew Tour and X Games and whatnot." So I was living on couches. Right, I should be a couch salesman for how many couches I slept on over 4 years. I can tell you a good couch when I sit on it. Right?
Okay.
So eventually, I'm living with these guys building bikes from Ryan Cape's distance jumping, just building motors and bikes and all these FMX would fly to Europe, fly back and whatnot. But essentially, they were rock stars, and none of these guys were answering their phones until about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, with a lot of sponsors and promoters. Where I would always be in their garage, or the promoters and sponsors just knew who I was. And they know, well, Mirtl will be up. I think he's at Jim McNeil's house. Or Mirtl's with them in Europe. Call Mirtl. He'll answer, And so essentially, I'd wait for my client, my buddy to wake up or whoever I was working for. I'm like, hey, George Spector from Prague called us. He wants you to do a backflip. How much, Merce? 30,000, one flip. You want to do it? I'm like, cool. And then all of a sudden, I became this middleman between corporate promoters, sponsors for freestyle motocross to get the deals because they couldn't get a hold of their guys. So I was more at that point concerned about. I was just getting if I went to the event with the guy, I'd get I think it was $1,500, $2,000 for the event, where I'd fly in, build the bike, pull it apart, pack it up, and we'd go. So then all of a sudden, certain guys within the action sport X Games space were like, dude, Mirtl, how'd you get that deal? Mirtl does it. I don't know. Like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it happened super organic. Like that. In fact, for the first 4 years, I was embarrassed to even call myself an agent or manager because I felt like I didn't have that, I didn't believe I was, I didn't feel like. And I feel like this for agents starting now or guys trying to get into doing this.
Yeah.
I didn't call myself an agent or manager comfortably for about 4 to 5 years, honestly, because I felt like unless I was just brokering deals and learning it, doing my apprenticeship, so to speak, right? So in saying that, it took me that long to even feel comfortable transitioning from, no, I like being Lucas the mechanic. I love that. It took a bit to be like, no, he's my agent. And I'm like, wow, dude, this thing's kind of happening. And it was my dear friend, my best friend in the world, Jim McNeil, who passed away. He was the one who believed me first. He goes, dude, you should start your own agency, And it was called LM Action Sports Management. Right?
Wow.
and that was done at about 2 a.m. once we got back from a bar. Dude, you got to do this. This is... we got to do this. And rest his soul, it was Jim McNeil that believed in me and gave me that confidence to, are you serious? Kind of thing? You think this is, a career?
Wow.
And it happened super organically like that. It wasn't like, hey, if I'm an agent, I can't wait to tell girls at the bar I'm an agent or whatnot or whatever people think it is. No.
So you, when I start this off and I say, hey, people think of agents like they do lawyers, they don't like them. You're actually as aware of this as anyone. You didn't even want to be known as that.
No. I liked being the mechanic because that's what I knew, and that was my wheelhouse. Imagine taking no one. That was my wheelhouse. I knew exactly what I had to do and how good I would do it. And then it was like, no, you're gonna go this total different path, and and it's tough. And it's tough from that moment, that 4th, 5th year of actually becoming, inverted commas, agent guy.
Yeah.
To from being everyone's friend, Lucas the mechanic. Oh, he's rad, he's tight. We hang out, to now Lucas the agent, to bring in revenue, bring in money for your guys. It's a gnarly transition. I'll tell you this, it was super tough. My family would call me and say, it's time to come back. It's, what are we doing? I slept on Huntington Beach, for a week at one point.
The beach.
Just so I was in California.
The beach.
Right? And I would
outside.
Yeah, I struggled. But I just knew that it was going to work out. I'll even tell this story, which not many people know, the people closer to me. I used to go to like Rockstar, like have meetings and go, oh yeah, grab cases. The client wants them. You know, I filled the back of my car up, and I needed those cases in there because I didn't have money sometimes to pay for gas. So in between gas pumps, I would go to people, hey, you want a case of Rockstar? It's $10.
Oh
and
my
I
gosh.
use that money to make it to the next meeting or make it home. Right? So there was times where this transition period and this growth period of going full time as an agent, you know, it was super tough, and it was tough on people around me, my family, and stuff like that to get to this point.
So it wasn't like, there was so much money that you had to make the change, and then there's all this money on the table. You made the change, but there still wasn't a ton of money out there yet. It was
it was a hustle and grind. It was a reinvestment constantly into myself and my clients, and especially when you have your own shop like that or your own agency, mate. Your clients, you need to get paid right on deals, but like because it was sometimes the guy would say, hey, you know what? I forgot about my house rate, so let me get you next month, Mert. All right. Okay, cool. And I've got literally moths flying out of my wallet at the time. And I'm like, okay, sick. All right, no, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, man, I
worry,
see.
Brother.
Yeah.
We'll be right. Yeah. And, you know, I used to fret looking at the date on my calendar for rent, you know, like, oh my God.
God, man.
So it was a genuine struggle to get where I am today, you know, and honestly, that's why, you know, I can be hard. I'm a hard ass or you know, out there on certain stuff, but I've lived it and I appreciate everything I really have. And every one of my clients now is genuinely a part of my family and part of my everyday life.
How does LM Action Sports become part of the massive Wasserman group that it is now?
Dude, I was about to give up.
Okay.
Straight up.
Okay.
I was about to give up and drive the drinks cart at Pelican Hill. I was almost done. Being honest, I was at this point where I couldn't. I just had a daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, and that, you know, life. But I became when Fallon was born, I became super. I just knew I had to click a couple more gears in life. But I was close. And Brad Lusky, I was representing some BMXers, and Brad Lusky, who kind of runs Wasserman, runs the division, you know, like COO of Action Sports and Olympics. He also represents some BMXers, and I had some key athletes at the time, and I was in Virginia Beach for a do tour, and we kind of just got talking, and we discussed it, and then it kind of grew into a bigger conversation. But it was make or break for me, I believe. I was probably 29 at the time, you know, with a 1-year-old daughter, you know, like it couldn't have continued on how it really was, you know.
Right.
And so they believed in me, acquired me, and the rest was history, and gave me this amazing platform to become and grow within the space as an agent.
How did you end up in the motocross racing realm from freestyle?
Always was my specialty, for sure.
You liked racing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Always where a lot of my heart was, and then I just grew into different clients. Jeremy Martin was a big part of that.
Well, yeah, I was perfect. Okay, so that's what I was going to say. To me, like when you first really got on the radar, is like this guy's got big time dudes in this sport is with Jeremy Martin. And again, I would ask fans to look back. Robot Jeremy Martin 2014 to Jeremy Martin now. He's a different personality outwardly to the fans. He is, you know, and that's partially him, but I'm sure it's not an accident. Partially you also.
No, for sure. Some of my best work is with Jeremy Martin. Loved him dearly, still do.
Yep.
Great human, great family. Yeah, me and him had some. He'll look back. I'll look back. Some of our best years and memories was was Jeremy Martin. In fact, he'll tell you he signed with me because I showed up. He was meeting with every agent.
Yeah.
He signed with me because I showed up in a Chevy van.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have the same van. This is my guy, Osho.
What?
That's what they told me.
That's funny because honestly, you would think what you'd want to see is that your agent is rolling up in like a Mercedes or something, being like, "Oh, this dude's big bunny baller. He can make me money." But that's not the way these guys respond, I guess.
No, that was really my in there, and I didn't care. I don't care what I drive now. I'm not really that guy, Obviously, I've had a level of success, and I've been able to afford, the better things, and be able to grow with my athletes.
Right.
Personally, but no, I'm still the same guy in the Chevy van, or the same guy selling cases of energy drinks in between pumps.
There you go. But you and Jeremy Martin no longer pairing anymore.
No,
that had to hurt.
No, sometimes things run its course, and no, there was zero hard feelings.
Okay. Yep.
Jeremy's gone through a traumatic experience. I've also, look, straight up, the story. I was there in Bristol.
Yep.
I think we're for 10 days or 8 days, however long it was, every day with him in the hospital, staying at a Holiday Inn right next to and, a same realization, which was like, and I kind of touched on it before, was, man, his future may be over, right? No, you don't want to admit that to yourself.
Sure.
And where does my future go from here? You can't bet all your chips on one guy,
Right, right.
And as real, I had other clients at the time, but I also was super nervous for my future, for everything moving forward. So I literally had to make a conscious decision. Like, man, that was a lesson. Like, you can bank the world on anything, but this is the wrong sport to do it.
Yeah.
It can change in the blink of an eye. It can change in a phone call for me this afternoon for someone, or there's what they're doing is it's super gnarly. It's a dangerous profession.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And so I had to make certain choices, and there's nothing ever bad, but other than growing my book of business and growing, my athlete roster and my ability to help more and more clients, which is what I do best out in the world. I'm not great at a whole lot of other stuff other than my job, I feel. And, certain athletes, certain times, we started together. We started, it was just me and him.
Yes.
And eventually that moved away, or, the plate shifted somewhat on that, and Jeremy, we did an amazing deal, and I'm still probably my deal I'm most proudest is his latest Geico deal he's in, right? But essentially, he said, "Look, you've got a lot of guys. I love you. I'm gonna just take it from here."
Yeah. Yep.
And I respect that, and with that, a client could leave me at any time. They're not married to me. This is a trust relationship. This is a partnership that I don't want anyone to ever be in that they're not completely sold on it.
Yeah, this is what I don't get. Okay, so riders have contracts with gear and bikes and all this stuff, and it's like, oh, this guy can't be seen in this until October 1st or November 1st or wherever all these deals work. When it comes to agents and trainers, it is practically musical chairs in the background. Like 1 week a dude shows up and he's got a new trainer, and the next week he shows up and there's a different agent. That's just how it works? Like,
does it happen that much with agents?
No, I wouldn't say it happens a lot, but it has happened. Where people just all of a sudden have a new agent. It's not like, dude, when a rider's switching teams, it has to be so carefully orchestrated to be. Yeah. It seems like they're able to just do whatever they want. Are they able, or do you both have to? Is there a contract and you both have to agree, or is it like, no, you can go at any time?
Wasserman as a whole, and I believe by this. If someone doesn't believe I'm doing the best service or doesn't think their future is best with me, I want them to find it because I genuinely care about it.
Right.
And look, I haven't, touch wood. I feel like I'm pretty successful in in retaining guys and love it. Them having a solid, healthy relationship, business partnership.
Yeah, but I don't mean just you. I'm saying on the other side, if someone wants to pick you as their agent and leave their current agent, people can just do this? Like, how does that part of the business actually work? Like, how do you get a new client, or how does a client leave you?
It really depends on the agreement. Like, I don't actively steal clients. I have taken clients off other agents.
Right.
Either through their mistakes or their relationships run its course, or they want to go to the next level and do bigger deals and have the access to everything Wasserman is, or everything that comes with Lucas Mirtl representing so many clients in the space. A lot of people would like that, but then some guys only want the one guy. You know, can't be with Mirtl because he represents Yoshimura, or he can't represent,
too many guys or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or whatnot. I don't like Villapoto, can't be Mirtl guy,
Yeah.
Whoever it would be. And I respect that for sure.
But riders are pretty much free to just be like, hey, it's not working out. I don't mean just with you, even with another agent, two other agents.
I can't comment on
you don't know.
I've seen other agreements where they're locked in.
Sometimes that does happen. There are contracts sometimes.
And that's where every young family, amateur to going pro guys shouldn't sign anything they can't get out of.
With an agent or guys, anything?
Don't do it. Call me. I'll help for free. You don't have to sign with me. Just let me give you advice. Don't jump in an agreement you can't exit amicably.
If an agent comes to amateur rider's parents and says, no, the only way this works is you have to have me for 5 years and you can't get out of it, you're saying that's BS. Yeah. That's not true.
Yeah, run. Except, for example, the Lawrences went through that in Europe. When I spoke to Darren Lawrence for the first time, and he's a straight up Aussie tradesman, straight up guy. He's like, I hate agents. And that's what I said to him. Like, if I can bring you something, let's do this. If not, let's go on.
Okay. That's got to be weird. And do people just think when you come to them, we used to make this joke all the time with some agents, we would say to the rider, we're like, dude, he just looks at you like a giant dollar sign walking around. Do you feel that some riders, when you first say the word agent, because you've now said even you were resistant to wanting to be an agent and all that comes with, and you don't even want to call yourself an agent, it has to be almost a bit of a reputation you almost have to try to change or bend or shape to let them know, no, you're not just a walking dollar sign to me. Like, you are an actual person. It's not what I'm thinking here.
Yeah, I think over time from everything else extra I do for clients and genuine care. You can't fake genuine care. I can tell you, I have signed guys before in other spaces because I'm like, oh, this would be profitable.
Yeah.
And I tell you, 100% of the time it fails because that's what it's built on.
Oh, right? Okay.
That's for me personally. All the money in the world cannot buy the feeling of being a part of your athlete achieving their goals, winning a race, winning an X Games gold medal, whatever it can be. That feeling at that moment to be a part of something great is what absolutely drives me, right? Finance and money and everything else that comes with it, right? That handles itself, right, for me. That's not why I'm up at 4 o'clock every morning, working and go to bed at 11, right? That's not what drives me. What drives me is being a part of something great, being a part of, for example, RJ Hampshire, he made a huge change this off season, right? He's now had a baby, he's bought a house, he's training with Alden. Now, it's not about them. I don't look at that because RJ makes me X amount of money and I do that. I look at it because, man, when RJ wins this year and does great, man, you won't see anyone more happier than me. Yeah. That's me in a nutshell, right? And it's for every one of my clients. That's what drives me personally.
Yeah, and I'll let you I'll defend you on this because most people are going to hear that and be like, yeah, right. No, it's because what you're saying is you're not about the money will work itself out if all those things happen. So you don't have to worry about the money. You're not saying I'm doing it for free. You're just saying if the client does well and gets results and is happy, I'll make the money anyway. I don't need to focus on the money. The money will come.
No, I think my biggest asset to any client, future clients, anyone is that I'm about them achieving their goals.
Yeah. Yep.
Business, I handled, that's where you got me. My number one focus, for me personally, it doesn't sound like an ad. People probably, oh my God, he's a salesman. He can sell ice and estimate. No, absolutely not. What I love, and you've seen it, I'll be on the side of the tracks at outdoors. I'll be running all over the place at a Supercross. Mm-hmm. I'm there to help them win and achieve their goals. That's, in a nutshell, what I love the most.
Well, yeah, let me paint that picture, because again, if people don't believe this. Yes, for example, if the rider is struggling with something, and obviously there could be a million things. It could be the mechanic, it could be the team, it could be the bike, it could be the trainer. It could even be, honestly, the rider themselves could be sucking. I've seen you have to get in there to try to help move that along. That probably makes people roll their eyes sometimes. I think the agent's getting involved at that level. But yeah, I've seen you try to move the ball to help your rider get better results. And there's 100 variables in that mix. So, like I said, it could be the trainer, it could be the team, it could be the bike, could be the tires, could be the gear, it could be the rider's girlfriend sucks or something. But yes, I've seen you get involved at that ground level, all in attempts to get your rider better results.
Yeah, and it ruffles feathers, for sure.
Oh, dude, agents getting involved with teams during the races? Oh, my God, yeah, it does.
Yeah, for sure. But once the teams, and I think a lot of people in this industry have, is realize, like, dude will have your back. He cares, and I think that over time, that's why I've grown and been moderately successful in the space in representing athletes.
Do you think you're realistic enough? Because what would be easy to think is, oh, the bike is fine. The agent is just biased in favor of his client. His rider sucks. His rider doesn't train. He's just trying to find something else to blame it on. Do you feel like you're straight up enough where it's like, no, if Lucas is in here, he actually believes this. He's not just, of course, like a lawyer's job is to always take their client's side, even if the client's guilty, right?
No.
Right.
It's a working relationship.
Yeah.
If it gets to that point, they know. And I'm very much on the team side until we get to a head. Diplomacy is always the first.
Okay.
First option, right?
Mm-hmm,
It's not like my guy finishes seventh, and then here comes Mirtl, steam out. He's here, he's run into the pits, ready to just take strips off people. It's not like that. No, it's got to become an athlete doesn't need an super emotional agent. Given I have been in the past, and I grown from it or whatnot, in certain situations got painted that way, right? Mm-hmm. But no, at that point, when there's major drama, I'm the calm guy. Team will be upset, athlete be upset, mom and dad, girlfriend all upset. My role is to be the voice of reason. Because if I'm out of my mind, or if an agent or the person closest to them is out of his mind, how is anything going to get fixed? My job is to fix it, move on, right?
Right.
And only until diplomacy fails does then I got to dig in and make a change, or
right,
move on from a relationship. Should it be a manufacturer, team, gear, sponsor, energy drink?
Well, yeah, and this is how we make this whole thing go full circle, because what you're saying is it's not like the rider signs the contract, and then you say, I'll see you at the end of the next year when it's time for the next one. You're trying to, even though you're in a contract, you're trying to visit and revisit that the whole time for maximum performance.
Look, it's like a marriage. A marriage takes work, right? It takes diplomacy. It takes, reasoning, and it takes give and take both sides. It's no different. It's no different with, a rider signing a, $2 million deal with a manufacturer. That takes a lot of, give and take. A lot of expectations both sides. A lot of deliverables.
Yeah.
And there has to be a person with a voice of reason in the middle, directing the ship and directing personalities, directing communication. That's a big, and that's kind of, we're really showing the world what that aspect of what you think an agent is to where it generally, I believe, is in 2019.
Which is what? Being involved at every level here? Like
at
you're saying?
Every level.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I've got to imagine that there is the advantage. I've heard, like, Andrew Short said this to me, like, years ago. He's like, it's kind of weird when you're at the end of a contract. You know, all year, you and the team, your goal is to work together. They pump you up, you pump them up. How can we work together? How can we be better together? And then on, like, Monday, now you have to be, I think I'm worth this, and they have to say, we think you're worth that. Like, now it's their job to cut you down. I mean, that's just how it works. So is that where just the rider not even being involved in any of that? You know,
for sure, it's not healthy to be in some of the conversations that I have to be in with regarding value and regarding what the team thinks of an athlete at certain points of a season. You know?
Yeah, on race day morning, they got to tell their athlete he's the best rider in the world they've ever seen. He's going to go 1-1. But on Monday, then they have to tell you, actually, he's not worth as much as you think. We don't think he's that good. Like, that's what has to happen.
And that's generally what I say, well, how do we get there with you guys?
Oh,
how
okay.
do we do it with you guys? You know?
How do we get him to be 1-1?
Yeah. What's missing here, team?
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it might seem odd for an agent to be involved at some of these levels, but I think it's actually fair to see how the rider being involved sometimes isn't good. The rider needs to tell somebody, hey, I think I got a problem here, here, and here, but if I say it directly to them, it's going to mess up my relationship with them. So you smooth it over for me.
Not in all cases, too. In all fairness, not in all cases. I always would promote communication between the rider and the team. Like, I only get involved more when that has kind of still hasn't produced the results, right? The athlete should be talking to his team more than I ever should. I will only generally get involved once the problem becomes, continuous, or it's a residual. It's a ongoing issue. Is where I come in. And,
I see.
But like communication, like, hey, this tire sucks. I don't deal with that.
Right.
Tell your mechanic. Like,
Yeah.
And then if, like, let's say if the tire was forced on Hunter Lawrence and it kept going and going and going, and then he'd get to the point, he's like, Mirtl, I'm not running this effing tire any longer. That's when I'm like, guys, we got an issue. This tire, why are we dealing with this? That's more where I get in. But genuine race day communication, that I'm just sitting there, making sure that clients then know I'm there, and whatever we need to do, we handle. But the communication between the team, it only succeeds between a rider and team. When a mediator or the agent needs to get involved, it's something that we generally feel we can resolve quickly and fastly, or clear up miscommunication.
All right, my last thing, unless you got other stuff you want to cover, is, okay, so you question yourself many times if you should even do this. And then even when you were doing it, you were about to give up many, many times. Now you've had some success for sure, but are there still times, so in these phone calls or these negotiations, where you're like, why am I doing this? This still... Because it sounds like all gravy now, so I want you to say the other side, because I'm sure there is another side.
No, it takes friction to make a fire,
Oh, okay.
There's always times in anyone's job, right? Like,
sure.
That you kind of go, damn, are we doing it? But I think I have great people around me now that I don't involve that. We are pretty damn good at what I do now, and I have a team of legal, accounting, everyone, Wassman, that lets I'm a well-oiled machine. I know the punchline before I hear the joke now.
Okay.
We're pretty well versed in what we're doing, and believe myself and everyone around me, we're the best at what we do.
I forgot about the team around. By the way, do you get involved with the riders? Like, obviously you get involved with their finances as far as what money they're making. Do you guys get involved with, like, here's what you should do with your money? Like, once you're making money?
No, never. We put, like, obviously we help on everything to do with collecting, legal, and all that. But as far as financial advisors and where they spend their money, look, I'm like a big brother to a lot of them, right? Like, maybe that's not such a good idea. But as far as where their money goes, we deal with the best financial managers in the world, but that's their department. If Jet Lawrence tomorrow wants to go buy 10 jet skis and go to Havasu for a week and a half? Well, if your dad lets you and you think it's a great idea, or I don't think it's personally for me. I'm not buying 10 jet skis yet, but go do it. That's not where my advice or my role comes into play.
But if they come to you and say, "Hey, I'm starting to build up quite a bit of a bank account here. What should I do with it?" You can. You'll find somebody to help them. Yeah.
We have people in play early on that we suggest, help them out with, and liaise with if needed. But they look for certain advice on that stuff.
That's not your deal. Yeah.
No, I can put them with the best people in the world, and that's what we have access to.
Right, but they have to ask for that. That's not
my actual role. And once they make their money,
it's
generally up to them. I can give them advice on my own personal experience to my life lessons of what I've won on or what lost on. But as far as that, go buy the 10 jet skis.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Go get it.
Gosh,
what
man.
Color?
Yeah, and again, that Hunter and Jet Lawrence thing, they're Australian, you're Australian. That's complete coincidence. It's not like you knew them when they were born.
Know them in Australia. Didn't know them there.
Yeah. Well, it's good to get that out there, though, because so people don't think like, I'm sure you get to the point now where you have to show that you're not biased toward one client or another. It's not like you grew up with these kids, so your ultimate goal is to serve them better than anybody else. They're just like any other rider.
Each client, and then people say that a lot, where you're like, oh, well, you have so many guys and whatnot. And I'm about to make a hire here to help work and keep growing. But people say, oh, you have so many guys. How can he do it? That's baloney, right?
Yeah.
Each guy, and you know this, each guy is completely separate to another client, right? And the teams essentially choose what fits best for them. My job is to never only have one option for them.
Okay.
So should two guys be going for a ride, either they be my client or another athlete, my job is to always make sure that we have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And as an agent, that's where experience and knowing the space and knowing your job beats it out every time. That's where a client with only one athlete or two athletes, or an agent that's only been doing it for X amount of years doesn't have that,
Oh, because the nightmare scenario is, imagine if you had Savachi and then one other Savachi both going for this one JGR ride that may or may not exist.
I'd never let it get to that point.
Right.
That'd be mismanagement on my end.
Yeah.
And the Savachi thing's a complete anomaly this year, right?
Yeah.
Savachi may be the highest recruited guy going into 21.
Could be. Yep.
Could be. And then it's going to be like me. You could be interviewing Joey next year, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, what a turnaround! Last year we didn't even know if you were getting a ride. Now you have so many. And are you staying where you're at, or are you going?" He may be the most recruited guy. It's kind of like the Cooper Webb situation, right?
Yes.
Left Yamaha. It's amazing. By the way, I think it's one of the best stories the sport's produced in a while is that Cooper Webb comeback this year. But it's no different.
Yes.
Great.
Every team wanted him at the end of 2016. Wasn't really that high on anyone's list at the end of 2018. Now he'd be everyone's number one choice at the end of 2019.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So for an athlete to know, that's why an athlete needs an agent, because he doesn't want to know, or the knows that said no to him the year before. That's the same people tripping over themselves to get him.
Yeah. It's funny how it works, man. I hear it all the time. There's so much hype. And it's funny on the media side, people are like, oh, look how you guys are. You build somebody up when they're up and you cut them down when they're down. I'm like, you guys are worse. Everybody's worse. You mechanics, you team managers, you guys, 3 races into a season, you ripping on a dude. Or 3 races in a season, you're all about how good this guy is. Like, everybody rides this roller coaster.
I think we're kind of mellow as an industry. Look at the NFL.
Oh, dude, you just get cut. You're just done.
You just get forgotten about.
Yes.
Left.
Yeah, but I'm tired of hearing people complain about that. In this sport, they say that all the time. It's like they use you until they don't need you anymore. They let you go. I'm like, it's called professional sports, bro.
Yeah. Amen. I'm right there with you, H. Welcome to life, right?
Yes.
Welcome to...
Yeah, it's true. People get fired from jobs. Do you think...
I don't understand. Yeah,
Go to the other side of your building at Wasserman, somebody that represents Major League Baseball players. If a player doesn't make the majors, does he complain about the baseball industry sucking? Like,
what I love about those sports, and what they're so fun, they get stats, right?
Yes.
So if you're a bad pitcher, there's an ugly stat next to your name.
That's true.
Judges and looks at you, you know. We sell potential and speed. See, we have speed in this sport, like natural talent that that people buy into a lot. Where in those sports, like if your stats are wrong or you fumbled the ball 3 times at the 1 yard line,
you're
man,
done.
like I can't have that. You know, they're gone, and I kind of get jealous of that. To be honest, I wish it was more clear cut.
It's true. I never thought. I always think of it. I'm like, why is it not the same? That's why it's not the same. They have black and white numbers to say, you threw this many interceptions, therefore you're not on the team. We're not being dicks here. This is just the way it is. Yeah. This sport, right? You could say, like Zavachi right now, speed. The speed is there. There's not a win on paper to show the speed, but we know the speed is there. How do we know? We just know. We saw it. Yeah. So that's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I'm just jealous of those other sports, right?
Yeah.
There's a 52-man roster in the NFL with how many teams? So many jobs to be had.
Well, yeah, but you've also got 100,000 people that probably want those jobs. The percentage might be the same.
I know, but I don't. We wouldn't represent 100,000. You'd represent a lot. So those, not knocking the NFL guys down or the baseball. We're a more cutthroat and precise job.
Well, we don't have as much money going on. The sport's not popular enough. So that's the ultimate solution for everything, right? If the sport gets more popular and more money comes in, everybody's happy.
Yeah, we were in a meeting at Wasserman Corporate the other day, and everyone presented. And our baseball division was like, last year in free agency, we done $500 million in free agency deals.
Oh my gosh.
I'll just leave.
Yeah.
I'll just leave now. I'll go. Like, sorry. I'm out.
You're trying to get your guy a goggle deal.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. There's always someone with straighter teeth and a better sense of humor than you in life.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, maybe. Hopefully they don't notice. Just keep doing your little thing over in the corner over there.
No. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Boom, that's the end. Part 2 of our interview with Lucas Mirtl. That'll wrap it for now, but I've gotten good feedback on Part 1. Hopefully you'd like this Part 2. And my goal here is to take the very straight shooter Lucas Mirtl and turn some of these phone calls that I've had with him. I've had many rants, many phone calls, many unfiltered conversations, and maybe turn that into a fairly regular thing on this podcast. When the stuff hits the fan, we'll check in with Mirtl here and there to get his take on things. I think he's a really valuable resource to have in the industry right now because he definitely thinks differently than others, and I think you probably like it, and you'd probably like to hear more. So expect this to be the first and second of many. Thanks to our sponsor, Yoshimura. Got that all-new RS12 exhaust system for the Suzuki. Bike test of the Suzuki say that this is odd, but like the muffler is literally one of the weak points of that Suzuki. No, the Suzuki doesn't have electric start. I know that's a big thing. Plenty of races have been won without electric start in the history of motocross. When these dudes at the top level are looking for tenths of a second and lap time and speed and better starts and all that, electric start doesn't really make a difference. It's a nice gimmick. It's a nice thing to have. It's a nice bonus. But ultimately, when it comes to going fast and being comfortable going fast, electric start doesn't really equate to any of those things. Suzuki is still a pretty good bike, but oddly, a lot of people, our guy Pingree, we will still have tests with Pingree on our site because we have a couple still in the can. Pingree's moved on to Vital MX, but he, when he rode the Suzukis the last couple of years, he said it just needs a new exhaust system first and foremost. So if you have a Suzuki, check out the RS12 at yoshimura-rd.com, and if you don't, still check out the exhaust because it's pretty innovative, it's new, and like I said, you'll probably see Yoshimura roll out RS12s for other bikes in the future. So check it out. Also, thanks to Air Medcare Network, and thanks to you for listening. And I'm going to try to cram in another podcast or two if I can while I'm still stateside. But next on the agenda for me, I'll be spending 3 weeks in New Zealand and Australia. announcing for TV, Down Under. Yeah, that's right. They're going to like my accent, my American accent, my standard American dialect, which I learned in college. You'd be surprised. I'm from New Jersey, but I've exorcised the demons of that New Jersey accent. I wish you could have seen some of the home videos when I was 8 years old, and this is how I used to talk, but I don't do that anymore. And I will sound like an American in New Zealand and Australia. And while I'm there, I'll record some interviews and do some podcasts with the American racers that are in Australia, such as my guy Justin Brayton. Jason Anderson and Team Fried will be there. Chad Reed, an American Australian at this point, will be there. Joey Savacci will be there. So look for some good content while I'm down under. Thanks for listening to the Racer X Exhaust Podcast. Talk to you soon.